All right, you guys. Start off by saying Shabbat Shalom. All praises to the Most High. Happy Passover. Today we're going to go into some information to explain what Passover is. Okay, so everybody can have a correct understanding on why we celebrate the Passover. All right. So tonight's lesson will be called Easter/Passover. We're going to break them both down at the same time. All right. I know usually we do one or the other, but tonight we're going to put them both together and break them down at the same time. So tonight we're going to start off in get your apocrypha and go to Sirach or Ecclesiasticus. Get the apocrypha and go to Sirach or Ecclesiasticus. Does everybody in the room have one? No, KG. Everybody in the room is good? Go to Sirach, Ecclesiasticus. Now I wanted to break down the two of these together tonight so people can get a real clear-cut understanding on what's going on. Yeah, you can get understanding when we break Easter down by itself. Yeah, you can get understanding when we break the Passover down by itself. But then there's still not a clear-cut understanding. So that's why tonight I said, okay, you know what? I'm gonna do it a little different, so we can break it down at the same time. And you can get a real understanding. All right. Now, the difference between the two is the Passover is a Jews' holiday. The Jews, all right, and we're going to go over the scriptures to show you that the Jews. If you want a chair, go down the hallway right here. You'll find some chairs down there. The Passover was celebrated by the Jews. Okay, so it's a feast and a custom after the Jews. All right, that's one difference. Now Easter is after the Grecians and the Romans. It's a holiday that they brought into play. Okay. And still to this day, this is what everybody is celebrating. And we all know anything we do is according to the Hebrew language. All right? Anything we do is according to the Hebrew language. If it don't have nothing to do with the Hebrew language, it's null and void. All right? And that's what we're going to read tonight. So the Sirach, Ecclesiasticus. Someone have an extra book for him? Give you a chance to go there. And we're going to read at the beginnings. All right. Now, some of y'all might not have this, but you know at the beginning of the chapter, it might have some information that you can read, just like a little paragraph or two. Do everybody have that? You have that in yours? And we're going to start off where it says, whereas meeting in great things. Y'all have that? Just at the beginning. Just at the beginning. And at the beginning, you know where it gives like a brief summary about what the book is going to be about? It says, whereas meeting in great things. Y'all find that? All right, that's where we're going to be at. Go ahead, brother.
We're coming out of the Apocrypha. And we're in the book of Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus. In the very beginning, where it might say the prologue. And it reads, whereas many and great things have been delivered unto us by the law and the prophets, and by others that have followed their steps. For the which things Israel ought to be commanded for learning and wisdom.
So it tells you that Great things have been delivered to us by the law and the prophets, and many people have followed their footsteps. And this is where the learning and the wisdom comes from concerning Israel. Go ahead.
And whereof not only the readers must needs become skillful themselves, but also they that desire to learn to be able to profit them which are without.
So it says not only are the readers and the teachers are to become skillful in this information, but the people that are learning also. So if you're someone that's just learning, you need to become skillful in this information also. Go ahead.
Both by speaking and writing.
Both by speaking and writing. So it's talking about the Hebrew language. You need to be able to also write it. You need to be able to speak this Bible. Go ahead.
My grandfather Yasha, when he had much given himself to the reading of the law and the prophets and other books of our fathers, and had gotten therein good judgment, was drawn on also himself to write something pertaining to learning and wisdom, to the intent that those which are desirous to learn and are addicted to these things.
So it tells you that you're supposed to be addicted to learning this Bible. You're to be addicted to getting skillful in this Bible. Go ahead.
Might profit much more in living according to the law. Wherefore, let me entreat you to read it with favor and attention.
So it says, let me entreat you to read this book with favor and intention. All right, favor and intention. So let me entreat you. Go ahead.
And to pardon us, wherein we may seem to come short of some words.
So it tells you when you read these things, you may come short of some words. Why is that? Why would you become short of some words? Go ahead.
Which we have labored to interpret. For the same things uttered in Hebrew and translated into another tongue have not the same force in them.
Read it again. All right. So go back. Wherein we may seem to come short of words. Read it again.
Wherein we may seem to come short of some words.
So some words we may come short of. We may not understand them. Go ahead.
Which we have labored to interpret.
Labor to interpret means we work hard to interpret it, but we're coming short of some things. We don't have the correct understanding. Why don't we have the correct understanding? Go ahead.
For the same things uttered in Hebrew.
So the same things that are spoken in Hebrew
and translated into another tongue,
but then it's translated into English. Go ahead.
Have not the same force in them.
Don't have the same power in it. So when you read this Bible in the English version, it's not going to give you the same force that it would if you break it down in the Hebrew term. And this is why we spend so much time with the Strong Concordance, breaking these words down and trying to explain to people, this is why you need to learn what this word means in Hebrew. Just like I am that I am, he told Moses. Yeah, you won't understand it, but once you break it down in Hebrew, you say, that sounds like something. So it don't have the same force when you read it in the English tongue. That's what it just said. Go ahead.
And not only these things, but the law itself, and the prophets, and the rest of the books have no small difference.
There is no difference when it comes to learning the law and what the prophets are saying. You got to understand what they were saying in the Hebrew tongue. So that's why when you read the book of Isaiah, you got to go back and you got to break it down in the Strong Concordance, which is the Hebrew tongue, and translate those words to where you can understand what these prophets were talking about. Same thing with the law. Go ahead.
When they are spoken in their own language.
Okay, so we'll stop right there. So when they were spoken for in their own language. You know what? Go ahead and read the rest of that paragraph. It goes with the whole thing. Go ahead.
4. In the 8th and 13th century year coming into Egypt, the Urgents was king, and continuing there for some time, I found a book of no small learning. Therefore, I thought it most necessary for me to bestow some diligence and travail to interpret it, using great watchfulness and skill in that space to bring the book to an end, and set forth for them also, which in a strange country are willing to learn, being prepared before in matters to live after the law.
So it says, I see it was necessary for me to bestow some diligence in learning this book. But it says also in strange countries, which is America, you have some people that are willing to learn and being prepared before the manners to live after the law according to these books. But it tells us when we read these books, we need to be translated to the Hebrew tongue so it can have force. Because it tells you when it's interpreted in another tongue, it don't have the same force. Means it don't have the same meaning. You're not going to get what you need to get out of it. All right? Give them, so let's get to the lesson. So now that we know that you should be learning this information in Hebrew, and if you're not going to get the correct understanding. Let's get to it now. Let's go break down the word Easter in the ISBE dictionary.
We have the word Easter coming out of the ISBE dictionary, and it means the English word comes from the Anglo-Saxon Aster or Estra, a Teutonic goddess to whom sacrifice was offered in April. So the name was transferred to the Paschal feast.
So it tells you that Easter or Estra was a Teutonic goddess whom a sacrifice was offered in April. That's where the name Easter came from. All right. Break down this little article I have right here. Go ahead.
And it reads, Ostara,
Spell it for him.
Ostara is O-S-T-A-R-A, also called Lady Day, is a pagan holiday.
So Ostara, all right, which is just another name for Easter. There's many names. Is a pagan. It's called Lady Day, and it's a pagan holiday. Go ahead.
Celebrated every year on the spring equinox, usually March 21st. Saxons had a festival every year for their spring and fertility goddess.
So she is a fertility goddess. Write that down. That is key. She is a fertility goddess, and it says they celebrate this every year right at the beginning of spring. Go ahead.
Aster, involving variations of many traditions we use today.
It says she's involved in many traditions that America uses today, and this is one of them. Go ahead.
When missionaries converted these people into Christians.
So it tells you that people were converted into Christians. They wasn't Christians in the beginning. The people of the Bible wasn't Christians. They were converted into Christians. Go ahead.
It was found Esther and the celebration for the resurrection of Christ were celebrated around the same time.
So it tells you that the celebration of the Messiah, the resurrection of the Messiah, and the Lady Day was celebrated right around the same time. Go ahead.
Eventually, the Christians adapted the word Easter and some of the traditions.
So they adapted the word Easter and some of the traditions that they were doing at Lady Day. Go ahead.
The Easter bunny comes from an old sign of fertility.
So this is where the Easter bunny comes from. So a lot of people say, well, what does Easter bunny have to do with Easter? The Easter bunny is a sign of fertility, which is the lady, Astara, which is the fertility goddess. That's why the Easter bunny is linked up with Easter. Go ahead.
Surely Everyone knows that rabbits have many children, chicks as well, which emerge from the shells wet and wobbly, but turn into cute little fluff balls just hours later. Both animals were sacred to goddesses of spring and fertility, and were often honored around the spring equinox.
Mhm.
Eggs are also symbols of fertility.
So this is where the eggs come from. Easter bunnies don't lay eggs, but this is where your eggs come from. Eggs are also a symbol of fertility. So the Easter bunny is a symbol of fertility, which is Ostara, all right? And then the eggs is a symbol of fertility, which represents Ostara. Go ahead.
And it is said that if one eats a hard-boiled egg just before sunrise on Astra morning,
So if someone eats a hard-boiled egg before sunrise on a star morning, what will happen?
they will be healthy and fruitful for the following year.
This is their tradition. This is their custom. So this is why they got kids searching for Easter eggs, and they're hard-boiled eggs to where they eat them, and kids is getting sick because they done ate almost 1.5 dozen of eggs on Easter, losing their mind with the salt and pepper, you know, and don't even know why they're doing it. And they tell you that these people eat these eggs because it's a custom telling them that they will be healthy and fruitful for the following year, dealing with Ostara. Go ahead.
In addition, in old Europe, eggs were decorated and given as gifts, as wishings of abundance in food and prosperity. As pagan religions were shunned, followers made a game out of children finding the eggs, hidden in plants and under fences.
So this is where it all comes from, you guys. Ostara, which was the fertility goddess. So this is why you have your Easter bunnies, and this is why you have your eggs. A lot of people don't understand. You can go ask somebody tomorrow. What does the Easter bunny and the eggs have to do with Easter? I don't know. Everybody go tell you they don't know. They don't know. They don't have a clue. Don't even know what they're worshiping. Don't even have a clue what they are worshiping. Okay? Read this.
At the sunrise
So now we're
service,
going to talk about the dying of the eggs. Where the dying of the eggs came from. You know, they dye the eggs and then go hide them. Let's talk about where the dying of the eggs come from, why they dye them. Go ahead.
well, like this part.
You want me to read it?
Nah, I got it.
Okay, go ahead.
It says, at the sunrise service, the priests of Estar would impregnate young virgins on the altar, and in that same service would take the babies that are now 3 months old from the previous year.
So let's stop. So it says, so at sunrise service is what they do Sunday mornings on Easter. The priests will impregnate young virgins on the altar in front of people. And after he impregnated those virgins, at that same service, he would take the babies that were now 3 months old from the previous year and do what with these kids?
And they would sacrifice those children on the altar to Estar. And they would take the eggs of Estar, and they would dip those eggs in the blood of the young infants.
So this is where your sunrise service comes from. All right, so think about it. Listen, y'all can look it up. This is what they did. This is what they did. This is what their custom was. So the priests will have the young virgins come up, impregnate them, and then tell them to go on their way. And then take the 3-month-old babies from the previous year, sacrifice them, kill them on the altar, take their blood, put them in a cup or whatever, and then take the eggs and dip them in the blood. And now this is where the dipping and the dyeing of the eggs came from. So the customs that we do, you have to understand a lot of these things are sacrificed to their gods. They're sacrificed to the devil, really. And the more and more you do them, the more and more you're going to the left. Let's go to Acts 19 and 34. So it told us that Ostara or Lady Day, it says she was also called Lady Day. So Ostara or Lady Day. So Lady Day, this is who they worship. This is who the Greeks and Romans, this was their lady, this is who they worship. Okay? Acts 19 and 34. Let's see who they was worshiping. Go ahead.
We're in the book of Acts, chapter 19, verse 34. And it reads, but when they knew that he was a Jew.
So talking about Paul. So when they realized Paul was a Jew, remember we wrote it down. You had the Jews and then you had the Greeks. You got the Jews' customs and then you had the Greeks' customs. So when these Greeks realized that Paul was a Jew, so they all thought Paul was maybe one of them. And then when they realized Paul was a Jew, what they do? Go ahead.
All with one voice about the space of 2 hours cried out, great is Diana of the Ephesians.
So Ostara or Estra is Diana. She has many names. She has many names. Semiramis, Diana, Ostara. She has many names. And they call her the lady, the lady goddess. Verse 35.
Verse 35. And when the town clerk had appeased the people, he said, ye men of Ephesians, what man is there that knoweth not how that the city of the Ephesians is a worshiper of the great goddess Diana, and of the image which fell down from Jupiter?
Who is this man that don't know we worship Diana? Who is this? Who is this guy? This Jew? Everybody around here, we worship the great goddess Diana, which is the image that fell down from Jupiter, which is Venus. So she's Semiramis, Venus, Diana, Ostara, Estra, Easter, whatever you want to put her. She's all her. And she's the image which fell down from Jupiter. Why? Because Jupiter, which is Zeus, is her dad, which is the dad of Venus. All right? Yeah, it gets deep when you start breaking it all down. It might get a little confusing, but if you take your time with it, it'll make sense. Jeremiah 7 and 10. So Estra, Ostara, Semiramis, Diana, Venus, they looked at Paul and said, hey, who is this guy that don't realize this is who we worship? Our customs that we do, our holidays is tagged out to this lady. And her dad, which is Jupiter. These are the people we worship. What is he doing around here talking about this Messiah guy or this Passover stuff? Nah. Y'all go cry out to him and tell him, in this city, this is what we do. Who killed the Messiah? The Romans? Greeks, Romans? So these same people that killed the Messiah and then took over what was ours are the same people that still running this world. So if they're running this world, guess who people are worshiping through these customs? The same, right here, same person. Ain't nothing changed. Ain't nothing changed, same person. Jeremiah 7 and 10. Go ahead.
We're in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 7, verse 10. And it reads, and come and stand before me in this house, which is called by my name, and say, we are delivered to all these abominations. Is this house, which is called by my name, become a den of robbers in your eyes?
So it says, this is my house. The Most High says, my house also all of a sudden become a den of robbers in your eyes. Go ahead.
Behold, even I have seen it, said the Most High.
These people have stolen what was mine. They've robbed our customs and put in their customs. Verse 12.
Verse 12. But go ye now unto my place, which was in Shiloh, which I set my name at the first, and see what I did to it for the wickedness of my people Israel.
Skip down to verse 18.
Verse 18. The children gathered wood, and the fathers kindled the fire, and the women knead their dough to make cakes to the Queen of Heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto other gods, that may provoke me to anger.
So the Most High says the women knead their dough to make cakes to the Queen of Heaven. Who's the Queen of Heaven? Venus. Serenasis. This is their lady. Astara, Diana says these people made cakes to her and poured out drink offerings unto other gods, that they may provoke me to anger. That's what the Most High said, verse 19.
Verse 19. Do they provoke me to anger?
Do they provoke me to anger? Question mark.
Said the Most High. Do they not provoke themselves to the confusion of their own faces?
Aren't they confused? They don't even know what they're doing. They're doing it, but when you ask them a question why they're doing it, they don't even know why. So just like this Sunday, you can go ask many family members why they do Easter, and why is Easter bunnies and eggs involved in this holiday, and they be confused. Well, I don't know. We just do it because, it's been a tradition in the family forever. Or this is what we do in the church. They can't even give you an answer on why they're doing it. They got confusion on their face. So how are you going to continue to follow a custom in the holiday that you don't even know where it came from? That ain't the spirit of the Most High, which is confusion. Go to 1 Corinthians 14 and 33. The Most High, he don't bring in confusion. Why? Because through the King James Bible, he makes everything clear to where once you follow it correct and do it right, it makes sense. There's no confusion. But a lot of these holidays, when you ask people why they do them or what they mean or where they came from, people confused. People are confused because they don't know what they're doing. So Most High says they have provoked themselves to confusion of their own faces. 1 Corinthians 14 and 33. Go ahead.
We're in the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 14, verse 33. And it reads, For the Most High is not the author of confusion.
Read it again.
For the Most High is not the author of confusion, but of peace, as in all churches of the saints.
The Most High is not the author of confusion. So why are these people confused on what they are worshiping and what they're doing? You have to understand what you worship and what you're doing. You got to know the truth behind what you're doing. If you don't know the truth behind what you're doing, then something's wrong with it. Go to John 4:22. You have to know the truth. So this is where you get them. When you go talk to a family member this weekend about what they're doing, gotta ask them. You gotta know the truth behind what you're doing. You can't just be doing it just because other people are doing it. And show them these scriptures. This is why I'm giving you the information in the scriptures to where you can go show these people, hey, this is what the scripture says you should be doing. There should be no confusion. You should know what you're worshiping. You should know what you're doing. And through this Easter custom that they're doing this weekend, they are worshiping Ostara, the Queen of Heaven, other gods, because she's considered a god. She's a goddess. John 4:22. Read it.
We're in the book of John, chapter 4, verse 22. And it reads, Ye worship, ye know not what.
You don't even know what you're worshiping. Go ahead.
We know what we worship.
We know what we worship. We're going to be worshiping the Passover this weekend, and we're going to break that down in a few minutes. Go ahead.
For salvation is of the Jews.
Salvation comes through the Jews, which the Messiah, he came through the Jews. He was from the tribe of Judah, so salvation comes through us. But you worship what you know not what. So y'all don't have a clue what y'all worshiping. But we know what we worship because we can break it down and show you in the scriptures what we're talking about and where it came from. That's the difference. Verse 23.
Verse 23. But the hour cometh, and now is, when the true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. For the Father seeketh such to worship him. The Most High is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth.
You must worship the Most High in the spirit and in the truth. You must know the truth. You must do it through the truth. And you must know what you're worshiping. You can't just be doing something and being followers because someone else is doing it. Following Easter is not the truth of the Bible. You can't find it nowhere in the scriptures where it says follow Easter. So therefore it's not the truth. You're not worshiping the Most High in the truth. It's a tradition of man. Colossians 2:8. It's a tradition of man. Easter is. And it's made after Star or Diana. The Ramesses. This is who it is after when it comes to the tradition of man. There's nowhere in the scriptures to where it tells us to follow Easter every year. So why are we doing it? Colossians 2:8. Go ahead.
We're in the book of Colossians, chapter 2, verse 8. And it reads, beware, lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the traditions of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after the Messiah.
So it tells you that these philosophers have brought in these traditions of man, which has ruined the world. These traditions and these customs have ruined the world because they are not after the Messiah. It tells you to beware of these people, beware of these things. Don't do them. If you do them, guess what? Every time you celebrate one of these holidays, you just marching yourself right along to the left, real smooth and real fast. Every time you do it. There's no more excuses when it comes to this stuff. And then the thing is, Easter, it jumps around every year. Like last year, when was Easter? Anybody like April 15th or something? Nah.
It was the beginning.
Like April, it was I would have said it was maybe April 12th or something, okay. But then this year now it's on what, April 26th? I mean, March 26th, my fault.
Oh, yeah.
So this year, so it jumps around.
Between 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, and then next year is what? Next year might be April 20th.
Right.
I'm serious. It's just every year it jumps around. It's not stable. It moves around. It moves around. But let's see what the scriptures say when it talks about these days moving around. Go to the book of Jubilees. Go to the book of Jubilees. And go to chapter 6. You looking it up next year?
Next year, I think I already.
Yeah. Next year is the 16th of April. You see that? Ain't that a big difference? Like, how can you follow that?
It was April 5th last year.
Last year was April 5th. This year is March 26th, and then next year is April 16th. So it's all over the place. This holiday is all over the place. But let's see what the scriptures say. Jubilee, chapter 6, verse 30. The book of Jubilee, chapter 6, verse 30. Go ahead, brother.
We're in the book of Jubilee, chapter 6, verse 30. And it reads, and all the days of the commandment will be 52 weeks of days, and these will make the entire year complete. Thus, it is engraved and ordained on the heavenly tablets. And there is no neglecting this commandment for a single year or from year to year.
So it tells you that there will be 52 weeks, an entire year that completes a whole entire year. And don't neglect this, because this is a commandment. And for a single year, from year to year, this is the commandment. 52 weeks completes a year. Verse 32.
Verse 32. And command you, the children of Israel, that they observe the years according to this reckoning 364 days. And these will constitute a complete year.
So 364 days completes the year. In school, what do they teach you? How many days completes a year? 365 days completes the year. So they off already right there according to the scriptures. Scriptures say 364. Schools you go to tell you 365. Go ahead, read the rest of that. So it says, and these will constitute a complete year. Go ahead.
And they will not disturb its time from its days and from its feasts, for everything will fall out in them according to their testimony. And they will not leave out any day nor disturb any feast.
So it won't disturb the feast. So each year, the feast will be falling on the same days because you got the same calendar. Okay? Go ahead. Verse 33.
Verse 33. But if they do neglect and do not observe them according to his commandments.
So if you don't follow the 52 weeks, 364 days according to his commandments, you're going to neglect something. Go ahead. You're going to disturb it. Go ahead.
Then they will disturb all the seasons, and the years will be dislodged from this order. And they will disturb the seasons, and the years will be dislodged. And they will neglect their ordinances. Verse 34. And all the children,
Go ahead.
and all the children of Israel will forget and will not find the path of the years, and will forget the new months and seasons and Sabbaths, and they will go as to all the order of the years.
So it says they will go wrong as the order to all the years. Read 35.
Verse 35. For I know, and from henceforth will I declare it unto you, and it is not of my own devising, for the book is written before me, and on the heavenly tablets the division of days is ordained, lest they forget the feast of the covenant, and walk according to the feast of the Gentiles after their error and after their ignorance.
What's the feast of the covenant? So it says, least they will forget the feast of the covenant. The feast of the covenant is Leviticus 23. When you break down Leviticus 23, it gives you all the feast days that we're supposed to be following, which is part of our covenant. So it says, they will forget the feast of the covenant and walk according to the feast of the Gentiles after the error and after their ignorance. And this is what we're doing. We're walking after the feast days, which are the holidays of the Gentiles, and this is error. Instead of walking after the feast of the Most High, which is the holy days, holidays, Gentiles, ignorance. Holy days, feast of the Most High, smartness. This is what we got. All right. Let's go to Leviticus 23:1 to show you. So the Passover, it don't jump around. The Passover don't jump around. The Passover is on the same week of the year every month, every year. I mean, same month in the same week every year. The Passover don't jump around and be, okay, well, this year is in this month, and then next year it's in this month. It don't jump around like Easter. Because according to what we just read in Jubilee, it says these things, if you do it according to the Bible, 52 weeks, 364 days, things won't be jumping around. So the Passover is at the same fixed time every year. Leviticus 23:1. Go ahead.
We're in the book of Leviticus, chapter 23, verse 1, and it reads, And the Most High spake to Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, concerning the feast of the Most High.
So the feast of the Most High are the feast of the covenant, which we were just reading in Jubilee 6:35. This is the feast of the covenant. Go speak to the Israel and speak to them concerning the feast of the Most High. Go ahead.
which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations, even these are my feasts.
Proclaim means announce. So go announce to them that these are my holy convocations and these are my feasts. Verse 3.
Verse 3.
The first one.
6 days shall work be done, but the seventh is the Sabbath of rest and holy convocation. Ye shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of the Most High in all your dwellings.
So the Sabbath day, the seventh day of the week, that's considered a feast day. Verse 4.
Verse 4. In the 15th day of the first month at even is the Most High's Passover. Verse 6. No?
Read 4.
Oh, read 4. Verse 4. We're in the book of Leviticus, chapter 23, verse 4. And it reads, these are the feasts of the Most High, even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their season.
So you shall announce these in their season. Means I'm going to give you all my feast days and they all have a certain season, which means they all have the same appointed time every year. First one, the second one, the first one is the Sabbath day. Second one,
verse 5. In the 15th day of the first month, and even is the Most High's Passover.
on the 14th day.
14th day, Salaki. Let me read that again. It says, in the 14th day of the first month, at even is the Most High's Passover.
So the first month on the 14th day is the Most High's Passover. So when you learn everything in Hebrew and you do everything in the Hebrew tongue, like we talked about in the beginning, you will know this month that they call March, which is Abib or Nisan, is the first month on the Hebrew calendar. And today, when you break it down, is the 14th day. Okay? Today is the 14th day. So this is why we're now celebrating the Passover. All right, break down the word Passover. Give them the Hebrew word definition.
We have the word Passover, and it is H6453. H6453, and the word is Pesach. Pesach, and it's spelled S-C. S-A-C-H.
Read it. Spell it for him again.
Pesach, and it is P-A-S-A-C-H.
Okay.
And it means pretermission, that is exemption.
So exemption. Passover means exemption. Exemption means freedom from any service, charge, burden, or taxes they teach you in America, tax, or evil, or requisition. So exemption means freedom from any service, charge, burden, or evil requisition. Alright? So the Passover is an event that was created for a nation to be exempt, which is Israel. We was in the hands of Pharaoh under bondage, and then the Most High brought in the Passover to exempt us out of that bondage, which is redemption. That's where the Passover came from. That's what it's for. Gave us freedom from the service of Pharaoh. Say, Moses, go get my people and take them from Pharaoh to release them from their services. Exemption. They are now exemption. Redeem that nation. Break down redemption.
We have the word redemption, and it means the purchase back of something.
The purchase back of something. So to purchase something back, I need what is mine. The Most High said, go get what's mine, which is Israel, and purchase them back. Go ahead.
That has been lost.
They've been lost. They've been in Egypt for over 400 years serving. Purchase them back. Bring them back. Go to Psalms 49 and 8. So you got to understand what Passover means and the purpose of it. Psalms 49 and 8. The Passover is an event as a creation and the redemption of a nation. Exemption means freedom of service. Redemption means to purchase something back, which is the Most High's people. This is what was going on, and people don't even understand. Go ahead. Psalms 49 and 8.
We're in the book of Psalms, chapter 49, verse 8, and it reads, "For the redemption of their soul is precious, and it ceaseth forever."
So the redemption of their soul is precious. It was precious to the Most High to redeem us back. He had to. Okay? He had to. And the Messiah, he came back to be ransom for us. Let's go to Exodus 12 and 11. So you have to understand the meaning of the Passover before you can even celebrate it. And the meaning of the Passover is to redeem us, redeem this nation, a nation back to the Most High. It's to bring this nation back to the Most High. That was the purpose of the Passover. Exodus 12 and 1. So now let's break down the Passover. Go ahead.
We're in the book of Exodus, chapter 12, verse 1, and it reads, "And the Most High spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you."
So he told Moses and Aaron, this is now the first month of the year to you. And what's about to happen in the first month? Go ahead.
Verse 3, "Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, In the 10th day of this month they shall take to them every man a lamb, according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for an house." Verse 4, "And if the household be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next unto his house take it according to the number of the souls. Every man according to his eating shall make you count for the lamb. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. Ye shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats." Verse 6, "And ye shall keep it up until the 14th day of the same month, and the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening." Verse 7, "And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the two side posts on the upper door posts of the houses, wherein they shall eat it. And they shall eat the flesh that night, roast with fire, and unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs they shall eat it."
So it tells you that when on the 14th day, just like what we read in Leviticus, it says that the Passover was on the 14th day of the first month. So the Most High is telling Moses to kill the lamb on the 14th day. And once they kill the lamb, to take the blood and put it on the side of the doorpost. All right. Why does he put the blood on the side of the doorpost? Because now the Most High was about to send a spirit into Egypt to kill off the firstborn of Pharaoh. The Pharaoh was the people that had, the Pharaoh is the one that had Israel in bondage. So it says, put the blood on the two side posts of the upper door. That way when I send the spirit in through that night to kill the firstborn of Pharaoh, the spirit that sees the blood on the doorpost will pass over it. So this is where the name Passover comes from. The spirit will pass over that doorpost that had the blood on the two side posts and pass over the house and go to the house that didn't have it and kill off the firstborn. But all the Hebrews at that time knew to do this because Moses was teaching them to do this from the Spirit of the Most High. So none of the Hebrew babies were killed because they all put the blood. Okay? Skip down to verse 11.
We're in the book of Exodus, chapter 12, verse 11. And it reads, "And thus shall ye eat it, with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand. And ye shall eat it in haste. It is the Most High's Passover."
This custom that we're speaking of is the Most High's Passover. But it says when you kill the lamb, and then once you put the blood on the doorpost, eat the rest of the lamb, but already have your shoes on, already have your clothes on. Why? Because the moment Pharaoh and them wake up that next morning and realize their firstborn is done, they coming for y'all. So y'all need to already have everything ready to go. Verse 12.
Verse 12. "For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment. I am the Most High. And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where ye are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you. And the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you, when I smite the land of Egypt. And this day shall be unto you for a memorial. And ye shall keep it a feast to the Most High. Throughout your generations, ye shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever."
He says you are to keep this feast throughout all your generations. That means us sitting here. Not just people that was in the hands of Pharaoh. Us sitting here, this is all generations. And this is a feast by my ordinance forever. So forever, for all generations, are y'all to do this. So I bet you go tell a family member tomorrow, hey, I'm celebrating the Passover, not Easter. They're going to be like, Passover? Who told you to do that? Where'd that come from? Well, it's actually in the Bible. That's what we're supposed to be doing. No, we ain't supposed to be doing that no more. That was in the Old Testament. There go that Old Testament thing. That was in the Old Testament. Old Testament, according to the Old Testament, it says we're to do this forever. Skip down to verse 24.
Verse 24. "And ye shall observe this thing for an ordinance to thee and to thy sons forever."
So this is a thing you need to observe for an ordinance to thee and for your sons forever. That's the generations. Verse 25.
Verse 25. "And it shall come to pass, when ye be come to the land which the Most High will give you, according as he had promised, that ye shall keep this service. And it shall come to pass, when your children say unto you, What mean ye by this service?"
Say it again.
"And it shall come to pass, when your children shall say unto you, What mean ye by this service?"
So it's going to come a time when your children will be like, what's the Passover? Why are we doing this? And what you say to them?
"That ye shall say, It is the sacrifice of the Most High's Passover, who passed over the houses of the children of Israel in Egypt, when he smote the Egyptians, and delivered our houses, and the people bowed the head and worship."
So this is what you tell the children when they say, well, what is the Passover? We want to do Easter. Easter's fun. Easter's this. Why? What's this Passover thing? This is what you tell them. This is when the Most High sacrificed the Passover, who passed over the house of the children of Israel in Egypt to smite the Egyptians. That's how you explain it to them. All right. Go to the next chapter, Exodus 13 and 4. And y'all got the information. If y'all want to go back and read that, that's the whole story on the Passover. Go to Exodus 13 and 4. We're running out of time. We got about 20 minutes left, so I just want to kind of get to this. Read Exodus 13 and 4.
We're in the book of Exodus, chapter 13, verse 4, and it reads, "This day came ye out in the month of Abib."
So you remember in Exodus 12 and 2, he says, and this shall be the first month of the year. So he told them, this is the beginning of the month, the first month of the year that you're going to do this Passover. And then in 13, it tells you, this day came ye out the month Abib. So the month that I was talking about, that's the month that you're going to do the Passover in, is called Abib. All right? And in the Fawcett Dictionary, Abib means the month Nisan. Because it was Abib first, and then once they went into captivity, it started being called Nisan. Okay? So you hear the word Nisan or Abib, it's the same thing, which is the first month of the year according to the Hebrew calendar. All right? And in the Hebrew tongue, the word Abib is what? You got it?
Spell it out.
No, you say it.
Oh, it's Abib.
No.
Abaya.
Abaya. That's how you say it in Hebrew. All right, I'm going to give you the definition for Nisan in the Hawker definition, Hawker dictionary. Give them the definition of Nisan.
Nisan, one of the months of the Hebrews, answering to our March.
So it tells you right here that Nisan, this is common sense. Because people go argue with you. Well, who told you that the first month of the Most High's Hebrew calendar is March? Who told you right here? If you do your homework and research, just read it again.
Nisan, one of the months of the Hebrews, answering to our March.
So this is what y'all call March. Go ahead.
Perhaps derived from nus, meaning flight.
Meaning what?
Meaning flight.
So it tells you that the month Nisan or Abib or Abaya means flight. What does flight mean? Flee. So this month means flee. Why does it mean flee? Because this is the month that he went and told Moses to get the children to flee from under the hands of Pharaoh. All right? This is when we should be fleeing. Right now. But the Spirit was with Moses and the people to get from under the hand of Pharaoh. Why would it not be with us? This right here, right here, right now, this is the month we should be fleeing. Let's go to John 13:1. Like I said, we got about 20 minutes left. So I know we've been talking about fleeing. We've been trying to prepare. We want to get out of here. We're doing things. And I know a couple months ago, I was like, hey, by the end of this year, we got to go. Trump, Hillary, whoever it is, we got to get out of here. You know? But working with the Spirit and listening to the Spirit, I truly believe if we are to flee, it needs to be right, probably not now, but next March. That's the month we should be getting out of here because it's the month of fleeing. And that's when the Spirit is truly going to be with us to allow us to get where we need to get. And we'll talk more about that after the lesson. John 13:1, let's get through the last of this information. Still got a handful of information I want to get through. Go ahead.
We're in the book of St. John, chapter 13, verse 1, and it reads, now before the feast of the Passover.
So it tells you. So now we're going to break the key information out. So now before, it tells you, this information that's about to happen is before the feast of the Passover. Go ahead.
When the Messiah knew that his hour was come, that he should depart out of this world unto the Father, having loved his own which were in the world.
So, finish this precept.
He loved them unto the end.
So, according to these Christian churches in Easter, they tell you that Christ died when?
December.
No. They say he was born in December. They say he died when though?
On Easter. 3 days before Easter.
3 days before Easter. But when you go to these services, when is that? Friday?
Yeah.
They tell you he died on Friday, but then it rose on Sunday. So that's wrong. I was ignorant at one point. But when you go to Easter service, they say he died on Friday, And then 3 days later, he rose on Sunday. And nobody, they likes the question. Well, 3 days later is Monday. Huh? Is it not? Okay. I was ignorant because I never asked the question. I just followed it too. But when you do that, if he died on Friday, that means he rose on Monday.
But I still think the Sabbath is Sunday.
But he still rose on Monday. Some still wrong.
Right? A lot wrong.
Yeah. But we're going this information we're about to go over right now is going to break down where he actually died. Verse 2.
Verse 2. And supper being ended.
So they was eating supper. So supper ended. But remember the first verse 1 says, now before the feast of the Passover. So they was eating a supper before Passover. And the Messiah knew that his time was coming. So they was eating before the Passover. Supper had ended. Go ahead.
The devil, having now put into the heart of Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, to betray him.
Mm-hmm.
The Messiah, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hands, and that he was come from the Most High, and went to the Most High.
Okay, let's skip down to verse 29. So now that we know that what we're talking about is before the Passover, they had just finished supper. Okay. Verse 29.
Verse 29. For some of them thought, because Judas had the bag, that the Messiah had said unto him, buy those things that we have need of against the feast, or that he should give something to the poor.
Buy those things that we need for the feast. So this was still before the feast. The Passover hasn't happened yet. All right. So it's kind of letting you know right here that the Messiah was killed before the Passover, not on the Passover. The meal that the Messiah was eating with the disciples was before the Passover. It wasn't the actual Passover meal. So he told them, buy those things that we need of against the feast, for the feast. Matthew 26:1. So you got to follow along so you can see what's going on here. Matthew 26:1. Go ahead.
We're in the book of St. Matthew, chapter 26, verse 1, and it reads, and it came to pass, when the Messiah had finished all these sayings, he said unto the disciples, ye know that after 2 days is the feast of the Passover, and the Son of Man is betrayed to be crucified.
So he told the disciples, he was talking to them after he told them all these things. He says, now that y'all know that they're about to crucify me, hey, by the way, the Passover is in 2 days. Ye know that after 2 days is, so after the story about this story, after the Son of the Man, of the Most High is betrayed and crucified, 2 days later will be the Feast of Passover. So he just said it. Ye know that after 2 days is the Feast of the Passover. And the Son of Man is betrayed to be crucified. Verse 3.
Verse 3. Then assembled together the chief priests and the scribes and the elders of the people unto the promise of the high priest, who was called Caiaphas, and consulted that they might take the Messiah by subtlety and kill him. But they said, not on the feast day, lest there be an uproar among the people.
So it says we're going to kill him, but we're not going to kill him on the feast day. Because if we kill him on the feast day, which is the Passover, there's going to be an uproar among the people. John 2:18. We're just kind of going through this real fast so y'all can have a vision of what's happening. John 2:18. So he told the disciples, hey, you know that after 2 days is the Feast of Passover. So the story I just told you, when they're going to crucify me, 2 days later will be the feast of the Passover. John 2 and 18. Go ahead.
We're in the book of St. John, chapter 2, verse 18, and it reads, Then answered the Jews and said unto him, What sign shewest thou unto us, seeing that thou doest these things? The Messiah answered and said unto them, Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will rise up.
So it says, hey, once they crucify me, I'm going to rise in 3 days. So that part of the Christian doctrine is true. 3 days I will rise. It's just not Friday to Sunday. That's 2 days. All right, verse 20.
Verse 20. Then said the Jews, 46 years was the temple in building, and wilt thou rear it up in 3 days?
So of course the disciples are confused. They're like, man, this temple has been up for 46 years. And he going to tear it down and rise up in 3 days? Verse 21.
Verse 21. But he spake of the temple of his body.
So the Messiah was talking about his body, not the temple. All right. So when people read this, he's not talking about no building. He's talking about himself being rose up in 3 days. Matthew 28 and 1. So that part is true. When the 3 days that he had to go into the earth, the belly of the earth. That part is true. All right. So let's break it down. Let's keep breaking it down. Matthew 28 and 1. Go ahead.
We're in the book of Matthew, chapter 28, verse 1, and it reads, In the end of the Sabbath.
Now this is key. This is key to this story right here. In the end of the Sabbath, go ahead.
As it began to dawn toward the first day of the week.
So as it began to dawn towards the first day of the week, and we all know the end of the Sabbath is when? Saturday evening, once the stars show. Once the sun goes down, the end of the Sabbath is Saturday night, Saturday evening. And the first day of the week is what? Sunday. We all know that. So at the end of the Sabbath, as it began to dawn towards the first day of the week, go ahead.
Came Mary Magdalene and the other Mary to see the sepulchre.
Go ahead.
Verse 2. And behold, there was a great earthquake.
So Mary and Mary came to see the body of the Messiah. They came to see his gravesite. Go ahead.
For the angel of the Most High descended from heaven and came and rolled back the stone from the door and sat upon it. His countenance was like lightning, and his raiment white as snow. And for fear of him, the keepers did shake, and became as dead men. And the angel answered and said unto the women, Fear not, for I know that ye seek the Messiah, which was crucified.
So the angel said to Mary and Mary, hey, fear not. I know y'all came to seek the Messiah, which was crucified. Go ahead.
Verse 6. He is not here, for he is risen.
He is not here. He is risen. And remember, we're talking about the end of the Sabbath. Verse 1 says, for it is at the end of the Sabbath which began to dawn on the first of the week, and he is not here. He has already risen. So something's wrong. So remember that. The Messiah had already risen before the Sabbath was even over. He was already up and out. Okay? So remember that. We got 2 key things we got to go over before we're done. Go to Daniel 7 and 25. So Mary and Mary went to see the Messiah who was crucified, and the angel said, he is not here. And the Sabbath wasn't even over with yet. So it could have been 4 o'clock on Saturday. 3 o'clock on Saturday, you know what I'm saying? And he is already up. He is already up, chilling. Right? But let's see why there's so much confusion when it comes to this. Why these Christian churches are teaching that he died on Friday and rose 2 days later on Sunday, but then they're telling you right in your face that he rose 3 days later, and you just ain't done the math yet. Daniel 7 and 25, go ahead.
We're in the book of Daniel, chapter 7, verse 25, and it reads, "And ye shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and the dividing of time."
So the America, they have spoke great words against the Most High. They have wore out the saints of the Most High, which is us, and they have changed the times and the laws. So they changed these things around to go along with their story and their holidays, and it don't go along with the Bible. Let's Google something real fast so I can show you guys what happened to the Sabbath day. Google on your phone or your computers, Constantine, 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 and the Sabbath change. Google Constantine and the Sabbath change. Constantine and the Sabbath change. All right, go ahead and ready to read that, brother, so we can hurry up and get out of here. Google Constantine and the Sabbath change. Read that.
It reads, Constantine and the Sabbath change, and it reads, Sunday actually made very little headway on the Christian day of rest until the time of Constantine in the 4th century.
So it says Sunday actually made very little headway as a Christian day of rest until the time of Constantine in the 4th century. Go ahead.
Constantine.
I was just gonna ask which one did you go to? What is the website?
I'll give it to you guys afterwards, but just go ahead and read it. We're just trying to get done. Go ahead.
Constantine was emperor of Rome from AD 306 to 337. He was a sun worshiper. During the first years of his reign, he professed conversion to Christianity.
So it tells you that he was a sun worshiper. All right, go ahead, skip down to here.
Constantine created the earliest Sunday law known to history in AD 321. It says this: on the venerable day of the sun, let the magistrates and people residing in the cities rest, and let all workshops be closed in the country. However, persons engaged in agriculture may freely and lawfully continue their pursuits, because it often happens that another day is not so suitable for grain sowing or for vine planting, lest by neglecting the proper moment for such operations, the bounty of heaven should be lost.
So it tells you right here that Constantine says, on that day of the sun, let people rest and let all workshops be closed. So he was changing the rest day of the Most High to Sunday. Right here, it's telling you this is what this guy was doing. All right? Read, following this initial legislation.
Following this initial legislation, both emperors and popes in succeeding centuries added other laws to strengthen Sunday observance. So it tells you that Constantine changed the rest day to Sunday and made it observance throughout the years. And this is what people was doing. All right? So, and I read the last paragraph so people can see what's going on. And it reads, Christians shall not Judaize and be idle on Saturday, Sabbath. So it tells you that, all right, we don't want them to worship on Saturday, Sabbath, which the Bible tells them, but to do it on Sunday. So the Sabbath was changed from Saturday to Sunday according to Constantine. And this is what people are doing. So now, let's do the math. If
The Sabbath day, now that we just read, because if I just come straight out and start talking about the Sabbath day being Saturday, Friday evening, and Saturday evening, then people that watch this lesson will understand. So I have to kind of show them how it was changed by Constantine and the Pope from Friday evening, Saturday evening to Sunday day. All right. So now that y'all know that it was changed from Saturday to Sunday, so the true Sabbath is Friday evening to Saturday evening. But we just read in Matthew 28:1 that when Mary and Mary went to see the Messiah, he was already gone. And verse 1 says, and in the end of the Sabbath, before it began to dawn on the first day. So that means the Messiah was already risen before Saturday evening. Okay? So if he was already risen Saturday evening, and that's a total of 3 days, where was the Messiah crucified then? Wednesday evening. Wednesday. The Messiah was crucified on Wednesday. Sometime during Wednesday afternoon, late afternoon, early evening, the Messiah was crucified. Huh? Well, Wednesday. So if you go Wednesday evening, all right, so Wednesday evening, Thursday evening, that's 1 day. Thursday evening, Friday evening, that's 2 days. Then Friday evening, Saturday evening, it's 3 days. But he was risen before the Sabbath, so he could have been killed Wednesday afternoon. Because when you start reading more scriptures, it tells you how the Messiah was celebrating the Passover with the disciples. So when he had risen before the Sabbath was over with, he was back chilling with the disciples before the Passover had ended. And they like, hey, he said he was going to be back, and he's back. Okay? So let me give y'all a few scriptures. We're not going to read them all, but I'm going to just give y'all a few scriptures to show y'all how the Messiah and the disciples celebrate the Passover. There's nowhere in the Bible where it says Easter. Go to Luke 20 and 40. So the Messiah, when he was young, he celebrated the Passover. All right? Everybody in the Bible celebrated the Passover. You will never see in the scriptures that someone celebrated Easter. So where did it come from? And that's why we're doing both of them together tonight, so you can put them together and say, wow. And if you don't say wow after hearing this information, then that just, you might as well just get a backpack and just jump off the cliff full of bricks right to the left, to the head. That's where you want to be. Because this is clear-cut information showing you what's going on here. All the way down to the 3 days that they say, which is actually 2 days, all the way to the truth. Read Luke 2 and 40.
We're in the book of St. Luke, chapter 2, verse 40, and it reads, and the child grew, and waxed strong in spirit, filled with wisdom, and the grace of the Most High was upon him.
So it's talking about the Messiah when he was a child. Verse 41.
Verse 41. Now his parents went to Jerusalem every year at the feast of the Passover.
So it tells you that the Messiah, when he was young, him and his parents went to the feast every year, not once, every now and then, every year for the feast of the Passover. So they celebrated the Passover. It was nothing dealing with Easter. All right? It was nothing dealing with Easter. And then you have 2 Chronicles 35 and 16, going down to verse 19 to show you how Josiah and his people and how Samuel and those guys celebrated the Passover. So 2 Chronicles chapter 35, verse 16 down to 19, talks about how Josiah celebrated the Passover. All right, and then it even talks about how Samuel and them celebrated the Passover. If you go to Ezra 6 and 19, he talks about how the children that was in captivity, we was in captivity and was still celebrating the Passover. So it's all throughout the scriptures that's showing how we kept the custom of the Passover. All right, which we still should be doing today. But like we just read in Daniel 7 and 25, they came in and changed times and laws, put their Roman calendar in, and put Easter on that Roman calendar and took away the Hebrew calendar, and now we, as people in this world, follow the Roman calendar. So the Roman calendar says this is what you do. It's the custom of the people, and that's you want to be like the people. So you have to break away and separate yourself to become that part of that group of people that's going to be saved. Because we all know the scriptures say the world was made for many people, but only a few will be saved. And if you want to be in that number of the few, you need to break away from these customs and these traditions of the heathen and start following the feasts of the covenant of the Most High. Okay? So with that in mind, this is why we celebrate the Passover. So tonight, we do the lesson. Tomorrow at 2 o'clock, we'll get together as a group and we'll bring food, we'll have fun, and we'll feast and celebrate according to what the scripture says. And we have to do it before tomorrow evening. Why? Anybody know? Because tomorrow evening will be the Passover will be over with. So we can't get together tomorrow evening and be like, oh, Passover. No, we're already be in the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Okay, so this is why tomorrow we'll get together around 2 o'clock. Not 4 o'clock, you guys, not 5 o'clock, 2 o'clock, so we can eat and chill and have fun for a few hours, play some games, things like that. Alright? So with that in mind, hopefully we as a group and people have a better understanding. Like I said, every time you go over this information, you get that much more of an understanding. Alright, and then for people who don't have an understanding at all, hopefully this will help. And hopefully this will break some barriers for some of y'all that's still following Easter. So we'll say Shabbat Shalom, all praise to the Most High, and happy Passover.